Testing. Hi and welcome. Kelly here with a yin practice today. This is going to be a little bit of a shorter yin practice if you have a crunch for time, but you still want to get in a few deep stretches. So if you'll join me on your backs, you don't need any props today. I am going to use some blocks just for when we come down into a pose, just to modify from my belly, but you don't need any if you are not pregnant. Of course, grab props if you like to have them close by to help make your posture more comfortable. So we'll come on down. Take a few moments to just really get settled. Let the back relax towards the floor. Let the hips slide under so that low back really lengthens. We'll do the same thing for the back of the shoulders. Let them slide back down and under. And then draw the chin to the chest, not closing off the throat, but thinking about making the back and the front of the neck equal length. Okay. We'll let the hands come down by the sides, or you can stack them on the belly, and then let those knees fall together. This should feel comfortable for the joint, so make sure the hips are at ease, the knees are at ease. If not, maybe bring the feet more narrow and just keep the legs straight up. Good. As we start to breathe, we'll just bring our full attention and awareness into the moment, into our body, letting go of anything we don't need to worry about or focus on right at this moment. So of course, thoughts and distractions are always going to enter the mind. But instead of letting our thoughts and distractions have power over our mind, letting them decide what direction our focus goes in, here in our yoga practice, we can decide to have power over our thoughts. So we can just place them off to the side, knowing they might pop back up, and that's okay. But anytime we can just let go of a thought, bring our attention back to our breath, we take that power over our thoughts, come back into control. Keep the breath nice and slow. Maybe adding a short pause at the end of your inhale and a short pause at the end of your exhale. Last one here. Good. When you're ready, we'll start to let the head fall side to side. So start with just one big movement. Let that head fall over. Stretch the side of the neck. And then inhale, we'll come back to center. Over to the other side. And then we'll start to move with the breath. So inhale back to center, exhale to one side. Inhale back to center, exhale to one side. Adding the legs and neck, so inhale back to center. Let the legs drop in the opposite direction of the head. Inhale back to center. Legs drop in opposite direction of the head. Good. 2 more, just like that in each direction. Back to center. Good. Draw the chin slightly to the chest, relax the shoulders down, and then walk the heels in towards the hips. Good. We want our knees to be about hip distance apart. We're going to stay on our backs here, and then lining up the center of the knees with the center point of the hips, not the full width of the hips. Good. We're going to take the right ankle first and cross it over the left knee. Good. Start here and just see how that feels for you. So you might already be getting a big stretch through that right hip, or you can start to push the right knee away from you. Good. Notice if that lifts up the left hip. See if you can also draw the back of the left hip down. So you're kind of creating this subtle stretch just by using the weight of the hands. Take a big inhale here and decide if you'd like to go a little further. So the next option would be to lift the left foot off the floor and hold on to either the left thigh or the shin. So finding the place that works for you. Sometimes you even need to curl up, lifting the head and shoulders, but then we'll relax it back down to find a deeper stretch. Plenty of movement here to let that right hip open. And then, of course, continue to deepen by using that right elbow, creating the same gentle push that our right hand once did. If you get to that position and it's too much, always come back to left foot on the floor so you could stay here the whole time. Good. Take your time to breathe. Soften the shoulders away from the ears. Come back to that awareness in the neck. Same length through the front and the back of the neck as the chin comes slightly to the chest. Breathing into that space, so really being in tune with all the sensations that your body has to offer right now. The good and the not so good. When we can truly be present, we can acknowledge pain and make sure we're not pushing too much. And we can also find little moments of joy and ease in the body as well. When we're resisting the whole time, it's a lot harder to find that. One more full and complete inhale. Exhale all the way. Curl up to release the hands from the left leg if you have that variation. All right, now then we're going to drop the legs to the left side, but they're going to stay in this formation. So you're going to bring your right hand to the hip crease, and the idea is that we're pulling the outer hip down. Good. As we twist over. So you're going to feel that outer hip and almost through the low back as those legs drop over to the left. Good. You can keep going till the foot comes all the way to the floor, but it doesn't have to. It might stay up in this position and you're just using that right thumb to lengthen. Good. If the foot comes down to the floor, you can decide how deep to go. So you might hold on with the left hand on top of that right foot. And then again, right hip will lift, but we're still lengthening the side of the waist down using that right thumb. If that doesn't feel right to hold on with the left hand, just let the legs move further away from the body. Good. So they'll be further down towards the bottom left corner of the mat. Check in on the shoulders. So roll the shoulders back and down and see if you can get that right shoulder a little closer to the floor. As long as that hip is feeling good, you can check in on the knee and then see if you can extend that right arm out, maybe looking to the right hand. Here in this position, we'll just take a few deep breaths. So we're letting this stretch shouldn't feel like the most intense stretch you've ever done, but it may feel like a stronger stretch. We want to be at about 50 to 60% so we can maintain it for a few moments. If we are at 90 to 100% intensity, it's not going to be sustainable for the amount of time we want to do the pose for. Nice job. Softening, finding space. Very last one. When you're ready, we'll bring that right hand back up to the side of the body. Release the left hand if you're holding on, and then pull those legs back up. A little bit of core work to get those legs back up. Good. Check in. We'll bring that right foot down, and then left leg's going to come over. Good. Let the back of the hips relax. Roll the shoulders back and down. And then we'll check in on the first part of the pose right here. We push that left knee away. Good. If at any point you feel any tension in the inner knee, I should have mentioned this on the other side, you want to keep that lifted leg flexed. That's going to help protect the knee joint. Good. Option to go a little deeper by lifting that right foot off the floor, drawing the legs in to hold the thigh or the shin. Good. Of course, plenty of movement here, so this can also act as a way to release the low back. We get those muscles in the low back, especially on the sides, that tend to tighten up. And then check back in on the shoulders. They might be slightly lifted, but try to lengthen them down towards the floor. Same thing with the head and neck. Continue to slow the breath down. Last 2 breaths. Of course, you can push away with that left elbow into the inner left knee if you'd like. And then we'll gently release that right foot back down towards the floor. Good. Check in first. And then we're going to take the left thumb to that hip crease. So that's way down by the top of the thigh. It's not up here by the waist. Bring it down to the top of the thigh. And then let those legs fall over to the right. So if you can probably see a little better where that foot goes. And it might stay hanging out here. You could bring something from the floor up to it, a block or a pillow. Or you could bring it all the way down. Good. Keep lengthening that left hip down by pushing the hip crease away. Good. Option to take that right hand to the top of the foot, maybe slide it in closer. Again, lengthen the left hip away from you towards that bottom corner of the mat. And then as long as everything feels good, check back in on the knee, then open that left arm. Gaze can go to the left hand. So we're in a little bit of a twist, but really working our focus into the hips. So we keep that abdomen open, rib cage open, so we can really breathe into the center of the body. Continue to find that breath. And in yin and restorative yoga, we always want to look for the option to respond to what's happening in the movements instead of react. Of course, that may be a goal to respond instead of react in all of our circumstances in life, but it doesn't always happen that way. Here on our mat is one of the first places we can really put that into action. The way we practice that is, do we allow space for a breath when we feel a new sensation? Can we take our time to acknowledge and notice? Same thing with a thought, even if an uncomfortable thought comes in. We notice it feels uncomfortable. And then we can respond instead of just that knee-jerk reaction to whatever's coming in. So sometimes that response means modifying and coming out of the pose, doing something different. Sometimes that response means focusing a little bit more on releasing a thought or distraction of the mind. Usually our first reaction to something isn't always the most thought out, the best for ourselves and the world around us. So when we can find that thoughtful response, we get a little bit more connected. When you're ready, release the hand from the foot, a little bit of core strength as you come back up. And place both feet down, check in on the hips. You can give a little movement side to side. Nice job. And then we're going to reach the legs out long, point the toes, extending the hands up overhead. Take a big inhale. Exhale all the way, soften towards the floor. Try that one more time. Point the toes, reach the hands, and soften. Good, we'll bring the hands next to the hips. Walk the feet in. Good, gently roll onto one side, and we'll come up to sit. Great, nice job. All right, our next posture is going to be a seated pose. So you can be seated cross-legged, have a support under the hips if that feels more comfortable. You can also be seated on the heels, and that's what I'm going to show you. So always want to make sure that the knees feel okay in this position. Sometimes that can be helpful to pull the calf flesh back and move it out to the side. So again, you can be in this position, or you can go ahead and come up to a seated pose. Good. From here, we're just letting the shoulders come back over the waist, over the hips, finding a nice long spine. Soften the shoulders down. And then we're going to come into a little bit of an opener for the upper body. So we reach those arms out to the side, and we cross the right arm over the left. So see what feels good for you. You might just cross the wrists and then bend at the elbows, so the back of the hands are coming together. That's the first variation. The second variation is crossing above the elbows and then twisting those arms together. So actually, the bottom fingertips come to the inside of the palm. Good. Either variation where you are, we're lifting the elbows up, pulling the shoulder blades back, and then sliding the shoulders down. So it's 3 movements. It's elbows up, pulling back, and then sliding down. And with all 3 of those, you're going to start to feel a little bit of opening in the top of the neck. That area where sometimes when we're stressed and overwhelmed, we can feel like the weight of the world is on our shoulders. That's the area we're looking to target here. Nice big stretch through the top of the shoulders. If you notice any tension coming up through the neck, here's your opportunity to just release that with a nice soft movement. Good. Make sure that those shoulders don't start to creep up towards the ears, or that tension will travel up in that direction. Good. One more time, see if you can make that adjustment. We'll lift the elbows, slide the shoulders back, and then pull them away from the ears. Gazing right towards those wrists or the hands. Nice job. Exhale, release it all the way down. Sweep the hands back, little counter stretch as the chest opens. Look up. And exhale, hands come out in front again. Good. This time we're going to cross left over right. So again, you might find where you just cross at the wrists and then bend those elbows up. Or you might cross above the elbows and then twist those arms together. Either variation is going to target the same area. Just depends on the intensity that you would like to have. Good. Take a big inhale. And then we'll make that adjustment. Lift elbows, slide the shoulders back, and then pull them away from the ears. Good. We always want to make sure that even though we're lifting the elbows up, we never want to be in a straight arm position. So we want to have that 90-degree bend in the elbows, creases. Good, no matter what variation you're in. Try that a few more times. Just keep making those little adjustments. They're really subtle. You may not even notice them from the outside, but you definitely feel them within the body. Building that awareness for the way the body moves and needs to move in order to release tension. Nice job. One more full inhale. Good. When you're ready, we'll slowly release the hands. Good. Sweep those arms back and behind. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Lift the chest and look up. And then we'll come back through center. Hands come all the way down. All right. If you're sitting in Virasana, Hero's Pose will come off the heels into tabletop, or just come forward into tabletop. Tuck the toes under. Get a little release for the ankles. Good. You can even push the hips back. And then bringing a little deeper stretch for the chest. Now the back of the shoulders are open. We're going to come into puppy pose. So we release the toes, widen out the knees slightly, but you want to keep the hips over the knees. Good. Of course, blanket or an extra cushion under the knees is a great option if those knees bother you. Start to slide the forearms down. So here's the first option. Your butt is sticking up. You're softening through the belly. So you're letting the belly hang down a little bit. And your low back is going to relax. And then you're letting the chest drop. Good. Getting into the back of the arms, triceps, and chest area. Feel free to stay here. If you want to go a little deeper, slide the hands more forward and bring the chest to the floor, maybe chin to the floor as well. Good. Here in this pose, we really let the shoulders slide away from the ears. Breathing into the entire chest, but especially the back of the rib cage. Three more breaths. When you're ready, push into those forearms. Slide the hands back. Good. Come into a rounded spine, so we'll bring the knees a little bit more narrow. Pull the chin towards the chest and get a little counter stretch there. Good. One more heart opener as we come into Sphinx pose. So here I'm going to use that modification with the blocks. If you're good lying on your belly, you can just come all the way down. Good. So as you're on your belly, you're going to line up your elbows directly under your shoulders. And then your whole forearm, all the way from your fingertips to your elbow, will be on the floor. I'm just lifted to accommodate. So front of the hips are down, top of the feet are down. And we're rolling the shoulders back as we lift the chest forward. So we find this space through the front of the body. And you might even start to feel some of the areas that we just worked on. Round the sides of the rib cage, as well as the top of the shoulders. So we want to make sure we use that awareness from our eagle pose. Pulling the shoulders back and down. Use that awareness from your puppy pose by bringing the chest forward. Good. And then soften the muscles of the face. Last one. We'll push down into those forearms. Go ahead, bring it all the way up and back. Little child's pose here, or you can round into that cat spine. Good. All right, as we come down, we're going to come onto the side of the body. So lying on your left side first, we'll prop yourself up with the left elbow. So first we're just going to check in and see how this feels. You may need to bend your bottom leg, or you might be able to keep it straight. Straight is a lot more challenging for balance. So just do what makes sense for you and also accommodate your hip. Good. Once you get set up there with the lower body, you can bring your whole left shoulder down towards the floor. You can even prop your head up, just like you're hanging out. Good. And then we're going to take our right knee and bend it back. You might just stay here, just pulling the heel towards the hip, or you can reach back with the right hand and see if you can hold on. Good. From this position, we're coming into a side bow shape, so we want to push the foot into the hand, bring that right hip forward to create that bow. And you're going to feel this all the way up that right side of the body. Good. If you want to challenge the balance, try extending the left leg straight. Maybe that gives you some more space to kick. Good. You can also lay your head on the bottom arm for a little pillow. You can extend that arm out. One more big inhale. And then exhale, we'll release the heel back towards the hip, let the leg release. And we'll come over to the other side. So you can just roll right onto the belly and onto that right side. So we'll start off just getting our bottom leg set up. You might start with it bent. Good. And then we'll bring that left leg back. Maybe you just stay here. You could reach towards it if you can't touch, or reach for the outer edge of the foot. So sometimes when we come to the inner edge, it creates more of a shoulder opener, but we also bring that knee out of alignment. So try to stay with the hand on the outer edge for today. Good. Kick the foot into the hand, start to create a little bow. And then we can extend the right leg out. Good. Maybe more challenging to balance on one side than the other. Perfectly normal. Last full inhale. Exhale, we'll extend that leg all the way out. Good. From here, we're just going to roll right onto our back. Good. As you come down, we'll pull the knees into the chest. Rock side to side. Soften the entire low back towards the floor. Good. And you have two options for our relaxation. You can lay out flat, so just legs extended out, arms extended out. Or if you'd like a little deeper hip opening work, you can bring the bottom of the feet together. So again, this should be sustainable for the duration of our relaxation pose. If this doesn't feel quite right, you could also add props. So I'll add my blocks since I have them close by. The idea with Shavasana is that your body is able to release. So if it's causing tension, a posture is causing tension, or a movement's causing tension, it's going to make it that much harder to let go of. Good. When you're ready, come into any variation of your relaxation that works for you. So legs out, supported, bound angle, or unsupported. Hands go out. Bring that awareness back in to the back of the neck. Drawing chin slightly to chest, even through the front and the back of the neck. Close the eyes. And we'll start with a quick body scan, just bringing your awareness from the top of the head down the body. Noticing what feels different than when you first got on your mat today. So Sometimes it only takes a few moments for us to let go of something we've been carrying around that we no longer need, for us to feel a little lighter in the mind, in the heart, in the body. Giving yourself gentle reminders to release any tension if you come across it as you scan down the body. And eventually letting all effort release. So effort to control where the mind's focusing, effort to place the body in a certain position. Just let your body and breath be completely at ease. Using your next full inhale to start to bring some gentle movement back to the surface of the body. Wiggling fingers and toes again, rolling out wrists and ankles. These legs can come back together, or knees can be bent, feet on the floor. And then we'll gently roll onto one side. Using that top arm to push down and gently move your way into a seated posture. Good. From here, we'll just relax the hands down towards the lap. Good. Noticing and sending a little gratitude to your mind and body for the work that it's done. And if you feel comfortable, you can bring those hands to the heart center. The light in me honors the light in each and every one of you. Namaste.